Miss Mary John to introduce herself if possible. Introduce himself to us if possible.
عفوا جان.
أنا مخلص شمعون هرمسي
My name is Mr.
ماشي
Suran.
بطوطة.
I am from Bakufa.
The gentleman I'm speaking to right now is the mayor of Bakufa. Shimon is his name. We're here to try to kind of do an assessment of what are some of the needs today from United Assyrian Appeal. There's multiple needs that Assyrians need across the board. This is just a process by which we could go through the assessment to see what they need from their perspective. بخاری دیتا به مویل بشخابه و منی بش عن قایل قرادية قام ديتو وكملت له.
They said they كل شيء أكثر شيء تحتاجونه هسه هنا. شيء
يعني من ناحية
من
الخدمات
ناحية الخدمات.
من ناحية الخدمات عندنا
The big things.
محصورة له
كيفك؟
شو الخبايل؟
التن شبكة لأن المية شبكة داخلية دماثة
Yeah, they
يعني
need all the
تعبانة
water
إلى كبيرة.
and the water pipes.
شبكة
The water
قديمة
pipe
له.
system in the town is very old and it's falling down. They
So-
need a system like that.
The pipes are still from what year? How many years we're talking about?
مش كم سنة صار لها من الشبكة متأسسة؟
صار له تقريبا من اجى المي على باقوفة بال 67
From 1967.
Okay.
50 51 سنة.
Yeah, about 50 years.
So in this case, they're operating off of 1967 water lines, and those lines probably do not have the capacity to push what is being built outside from the government support requirements. So a town like this would need probably water purification center. Water towers are going to be able to purify that water to sustain until they're able to work with the governmental system to improve those requirements. اننا طرحنا السيستم قد شمسد initially made لهم قدينا مع water purification water towers قد تعملون ومن بلاخت هل من بلاخت تهوج ما قد أمسي and lines جرب يصيرون دخت يعني قد أمسي مية هوج ما هاير بعته وتعملون dual sourcing خمنا تلون جوابه قد إن قام emergency ما بخيلا in the future خيطة تعمل قد هوج ما هاير
حيجون حيساعدوكم بالشبكة مال المي حيسوي لكم همنا سيستمين بحيث واحد انه حيشتغل وواحد اذا خرب همنا يشتغلوا مع الطوارئ همنا بيجوا بحشة.
مشكورين
بإلكتريسيتي ولا
ايش عندكم بعد بالكهرباء؟
كهرباء عادي هذه يعني
ايش قد
المنطقة
تجيكم
كلها
الكهرباء باليوم؟ ايش قد هاي؟
جو اربل بداية جو بجمعي معنا إما طعم جميل هذا الفيديو ده بدنا نعمله بتاعت الرعي نمضي يلا خايل إلى sustainable ولا
يوم باخور اللي بس برقك ما يعطي له خبو يوم ما سكت. ايش قد تجيكم الكهرباء باليوم؟
الوطني والمولدة تقريبا 20 ساعة.
The generators
إلا باردة
main
دا يتريهم يتعطل يمكن يعني من تم الليلة وبدا ليفرق
the main generators from the government and the tijari generators, the alternative generators that they use here, they give about 20 hours of electricity every day. But in the last 2 days there has been an issue and the main generators, the governmental electricity hasn't shut off.
So how many days have they been without electricity now? Or how
They
many
have
hours?
they have electricity, but it's the
Okay, with the
alternative
government,
one,
okay.
yeah.
So what's happening is that the government pushes electricity through the system. While I was in Erbil, we had electricity shutting off on us constantly, and I did a video on that that got posted. But in this case, the back systems that the government has, to include the step-down generators, are having issues. So they haven't had the power sustaining for at least 12 hours
At
or
least,
24 hours.
48.
48 hours, they haven't had any power from the central government. That means that the 132 kV lines that are supposed to be feeding here have been turned off. Somehow, the drop down to the 11 kV lines that feeds off of those generators for their lines here haven't been operating, and they've been working off of backup generators. That means it puts a load on those generators, and eventually they're going to end up losing those. So they need a sustainable capability to be able to back up possibly the transformation from what is happening between what the government runs off of their 132s and what they're being able to sustain off of their 11 kV lines. Who's managing it to match it at a generator like that? That you put إيديه on seat when you
منو
manage
يشغل
it,
لكم المولدات هنا
مولدة واحدة عندنا بضم مولدة لا تنخم شغل
من هو شوي بيتانا لا فقط من
من الحكومة يجيكم هنا يشغلوا ولا واحد من
لا لا من القرية
They have only one generator and somebody from the town is operating on it.
Is that person certified or he's capable of running, or
عنده
is it just a
خبرة
local guy
بالشي
that has
يسمونه يعني
the
هو
knowledge?
ميكانيكي يشتغل بيه إذا خربت هاي هو
يعني
يعرف
عنده خبرة
يصلحها.
هو سايق قديم كان عنده خبرة يعني بشغلات ميكانيكية
He's essentially a driver, but he has just a little bit of experience in the mechanical.
So one of the other problems that they're running into, the people who are supposed to maintain those generators are not being grown by the governmental system themselves. So they have a driver who has some knowledge of electrical wiring who's actually running those generators. And this is where you got to build that institutional knowledge so you can have professionals building the capacity in the city so the city can become a what we call a functioning city within a governmental structure of a federalized Iraq. Uh, we talked about electricity. I think you brought up water. It seems like those are the main feeders. I've always said if you can't feed yourself, you can't provide electricity for yourself, you can't provide water, you're useless. You are not a functioning town. I had a gentleman who was talking to me about cattle and sheep, and he said that where he was raising the sheep has been destroyed. I know they've done planting this year, but they have asked for planting possibly for next year. And I know that someone want to transition from sheep to cattle because the market itself is almost saturated in that capacity. Is there anything on the food distribution capabilities that they have locally that he wants to talk about that I can maybe?
About the season.
Yeah.
ايش تحتاج من ايش يسمونه من المواد الزراعية
زراعية عندنا بذور أسمدة
بذور وأسمدة
بذور وأسمدة
والمشاريع الأخرى اللي تحتاجها يعني.
ومشاريع الأخرى إذا إحنا عندنا هنا يعني فرش اعتمادنا على الزراعة والثروة الحيوانية وعندنا هالشباب يعني بطالة فإذا استغل وقتها مثلا بتربية الأغنام أبقار هذا مشروع يعني زين يساعد على المعيشة والقضاء على البطالة
The
إذا
main
أكو دعم يعني
the main thing that the primary thing that they trust here is the farming.
Farming, okay.
Yeah, and
So
raising
it's more
sheep
of a
and
farmer
cattle.
community, and every community
Yeah,
is
so they need about some more seeds and some more pharmaceuticals so they can work. And if we can provide some small projects of farming and the sheep and cattle projects, so the young people could work. Yeah, and
What's
spend their
the
time.
okay? So every place is going to be different. One place is going to have more cattle, more livestock requirements. The mayor says that our area is much more of a planting area. They've already planted for this year, so he wants to concentrate on that. And I always said for all my friends who come out here to do these assessment and provide support, that you need to target it for the region it is. And if the man says I need more seeds, then they need more seeds for the planting. And as we were doing the assessment overall here, that's what it looked like. I saw that some of the stuff that they have are moving forward right now for at least the next few months. And I know that the water's tied to it because if they have problems with the lines and they cannot push the water,
They actually depend on rains.
yeah, they're depending on basically
Yeah.
rains to be able to sustain them. There's no way of being able to saturate those fields for future planting seasons. So we'll take that assessment back. One thing about the city, with all that happening, how many individuals does he have that are unemployed that you can say that they have absolutely no job right now in the city?
كم واحد عندكم الشباب هاي ما يشتغلون قاعدين كلهم بالبيت.
والله تقريبا كل بيت يعني عنده واحد تقريبا 20 30 أزيد
About every house they have somebody there that's unemployed. So about 30.
Okay, so the city of this city itself was the main city that was protected by the Syrian army. This is where the headquarters was. There were approximately 75 families here, and most of them have returned. Almost 55 have returned. You have 20 that haven't returned, but those 20 on in various different areas because of the reasons. Some are in the hook because their kids have started school and they want to stay there. Some in Telescope, and they want to come back to their original homes. The problem is, as the mayor mentioned, almost every household has one person in it that is unemployed. That being the case, this is a little bit of an older community here. So the person you're looking at is a younger person who's unemployed, and that is one of the reasons why we have tried to at least sustain through the Itana Women Organization and United Asinipio with direct food supports here, if we can, in order to be able to at least sustain them until the, there's jobs for these individuals. What are some of the skill sets that he knows that are here that are unemployed? I mean, do you have doctors or doing mechanic work now? Do you have any professionals that would need a physical professional location here to be able to practice their trade? I guess those are the questions I have.
ايش عندكم يعني دول اللي دا يحتاجون الشغل ايش عندهم يعني ايش كانوا يشتغلون قبل اكو دكاتره اكو مهندسين اكو بنشريه مثلا اللي راح يحتاج له مكان حتى يشتغل شكو مثل ذني اشغال يعني
احنا مو قلت لك احنا هذه القريه قريه صغيره اعتمادنا على الزراعه وعلى الفروع الحيوانيه. يعني معك هسه عندنا دكان واحد بس بالقريه. فالشغلات المهنيه ما عندنا بالقريه يعني بنشرتيه هذه فيتريه ما موجوده بالقريه. اكثر شيء كله اعتمادنا على التلسكوب والقول شو.
the main the young people they don't have any skills in these areas. They depend on farming and raising the cattle and sheep. So they don't have these type of skills. And when they need this stuff, they go to Teleskov. They depend on Teleskov because it's nearer, and they go there and they make the things that they need. Also, قلت لي عن شو يسمونه؟ قلت ما عندكم شغلات قلت لكم محل واحد.
دكان واحد عندنا.
They only have one market on here because it's a small town.
Okay. So there's more of a farming community. There's no higher skill level folks that are here. Even if they need a doctor, they have to go to another city for the doctor. And we haven't even done an assessment on that city to see if they even have medical facilities capable. So you understand the strain that they have. This city itself was well preserved. Almost no buildings were damaged here, except for the buildings that were damaged when we had the Syrian army here, and they were taking on constantly mortar rounds and artillery to the area. With that said, even as well preserved that it is, it has a lot of issues because the government is still 15 years from our initial invasion into Iraq, not capable of maintaining even the electricity. In Erbil, the electricity kept on getting shut off from 6 to 12. It's been off the main electricity power lines for 48 hours. That could be because they've been working, maintaining the lines or diverting power for other reasons, but the reality is, from what we know, updated information is that there's been no major project that the government was doing that would have to shut off the electricity and then 132 this location and have it be shut off for so long. So it's a lot of challenges, Ms. Mayor. I understand your issues and problems. None of these are quick fixes. I wish there were. We've tried our best to at least make folks back in DC know you got to give the Syrian Christians an ability to secure themselves, which we had done here. The buildings are preserved, but we have to be able to transition away from basic humanitarian requirements to large projects that can at least sustain you until the government is able to get on its feet and run its electricity, water, food distribution the way it should be. So we'll try our best. We'll take your information notes back. We have a video record of our discussion, and can't make any promises, but we'll try our best from our end. Itana Women Organization is what United Asinipio works with all the time. We'll will sustain, at least with the donations that we can get, to preserve this and build here. Maybe this could become a model for other cities to follow in the future.
دا يقولوا لنا دا يفتهم مشاكلكم يحاولوا يساعدوكم ودا يتمنى انه كانت المشاكل سريعة الحل بس هي بطيئة بالحل بس على قد ما يقدرون حيحاولون يساعدوكم هم يشتغلون ويا منظمة إيكان هنا وهاي المنظمة إن شاء الله من قد ما يجونهم يعني مساعدات من غير ناس الفلوس وهاي يجون يقدموا لكم المساعدات اللي تريدوها وإن شاء الله شوي شوي حيحاولون يبنون هنا لحد ما تقدر الحكومة وبعدين تجي وتكمل تساعد.
One thing I want to say to the Syrian Christians out there that are living in the West, you have an opportunity to support. That support has to be to where you can become a backbone for individuals who have decided to stay here even after a genocide and rebuild. And that support has to be with your skill sets to be able to apply them here. Dollars are wonderful and great, but we cannot continuously keep on begging for money and be in a refugee beggar status for years to come. That is not how you build a nation. The nation needs load capacity, the nation needs water purification, the nation needs security, the nation needs professionals to be able to run the only market that they have here. The nation needs individuals with agricultural background knowledge to be able to come here and give that type of advice. We will work, and we've told Washington that USAID ID projects are great, but the Syrians are tired of going to foreign governments begging for money to maintain themselves in a cycle of needy. And we want to be able to stand on our own. The only way we could do it is that those governments, those projects need to transition from just basic humanitarian aids to what we to building capacities within the towns, so that Iraq as a whole can become a stronger nation and part of the world polities that are respected. 15 years in, it should not be that electricity is not working, that water pipes are not working, and that food distribution is not operational, and that people are employed, in this case, Syrian Christians. The Syrian Christian future is going to be lost soon if we do not make the stand here and build. And thank you, Ms. Mayor, for you all making the decision to stay here while everyone else has decided to move to the West. And it is our responsibility in the West to be able to help you all.
دا شكرك لأن انت بقيت هنا والناس الأخرى من طلعوا بس انت قررت يعني تبقى ترجع تبني القرية اللي انت بيها وهاي مسؤوليتهم انه اللي طلعوا ان شاء الله يحاولون يساعدوك.
ان شاء الله احنا نشكرهم على الدعم اللي قدموا لنا مع المساعدات والله يعطيهم الصحة والعافية وان شاء الله يظلون يعني يدعمونا بقدر الامكان حتى المنطقة تتعمر. لا هذا العالم احنا ما نريد يعني المنطقة تخلى من المسيحيين.
They are very
هسه يعني يصير عندها فد شيء تثبت علينا.
they are very thankful for the support that you are giving from the West, that they are giving from the West, and they are hoping for to rebuild this place, to reconstruct it, and they don't want the place to be empty from Christians. They want them to stay here.
Thank you for keeping the root of Christianity alive in this region. Thank you.
على
Thank you.
البقية المسيحية.
Thank you. Thanks, Ed. No, that's okay. You deserve it because of all the work you're doing here.
تستاهل.
بالعكس.